I think there's probably been versions of the conversation where they've thought, yeah, we could give him a little bit more to say, but then that's so far away from who his character is.
Mm.
And I think the fans actually prefer that he doesn't talk that much. And I can't be mad at that. I can't, because he's pure violence.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
purely, he's pure focused violence. He is an extremely dangerous man.
yeah,
And dangerous men don't talk much. They don't have to.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. They're introverts.
they're introverts.
Yeah, so they used to kind of say it's a good time to start as well in
Yeah,
the
it's a really good
franchise.
time to
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
It really is a good time to start. I think I was actually talking with Hugo last night.
You're known as the Doom Slayer in Doom: The Dark Ages, so it's going to be a good conversation. Yeah, I mean, how are you feeling at the moment with it all?
I feel great. You know, the game. I watched the obviously the game. There's a anticipation of the game coming out for several years as development started on it, and then my part of the process started on it 2 years
Mm,
ago, I think. Um, and it's like anything. You're doing all this cooking and you're putting all these ingredients into the mix, and you stick it in the oven, and you just gotta wait. And when it comes out and you finally get a chance to taste it, you're just like, oh wow, we created something really, really special, and the gamers and the fans are really loving it. I've
yeah.
had a chance to watch. I'm not that good of a gamer. I
Okay,
leave it to the
okay.
I leave it
I'm
to
sure
you
you
all
still
the
game though.
pros.
I'm sure you
I
still
get
game. Yeah.
I play a little bit, but I get overwhelmed, and I'm not that good at it, any of them.
Mm,
But I watched the full gameplay movie on a YouTube channel,
mm,
and I was absolutely blown away with what I saw.
yeah.
The game itself is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
The storyline, and that's the other thing, is like you don't really hold on one sec. You don't really get a sense of it was actually it was gamers little playground
Mm,
is the site that I actually watched the game.
okay.
And you don't, when they bring us in the booth, we get our lines, and that's really it. We don't see the script.
Mm,
And Doomslayer is not the most verbose of the
yeah.
characters, nor is Maruk. So I didn't really get a sense of what the storyline was. They were
Mm,
talking me through the scenarios. But when you actually get to see the whole full movie, then it all comes together, and I was
yeah.
blown away.
Because I was going to say actually, like, were you given any like access to the game footage or art to sort of help you connect with your character? So I was wondering if if you get any kind of intel at all.
Not a lot. I mean, the version of Slayer for this particular game
Mm,
is very much what he was coming out of. There was it was very much the same guy coming out of uh the Dark Ages. I mean the Ancient Gods Part 2, which is
mm,
where I started voicing him in that title. And the only thing that really showed me, because they always have him designed far enough ahead in advance
yeah.
so that you kind of get an idea. And the main thing that they showed me was just that he was a little younger, and that they were rewinding the clock a little bit
Yeah.
and taking us into a different storyline,
Yeah, I
and
heard
showing
about
us
that
kind of his,
actually. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, his origin story. So he's a little fresher.
Yeah, so
um
they used to kind of say it's a good time to start as well in
Yeah,
the
it's a really good
franchise.
time to
Yeah,
stop.
yeah.
It really is a good time to start. I think I was actually talking with Hugo last night, and he was saying, they always try to bring something a little different to each one of
Mm,
the titles, at least the ones that he's made. And he was suggesting that you could go back and start with this one and then
mm,
play the others forward and get a different storyline that kind of becomes a little bit more cohesive. And
yeah.
he's such a he pays attention to so much detail,
Mm,
um, and it's really been his baby for the last, God, I guess last decade plus.
mm,
Um, he's a phenomenal storyteller, and he's so into the details, and he's present for every aspect of it.
mm.
That nothing there's no loose threads hanging. He's pulled on each one
Yeah.
to try and figure out how to tie it all together and make a new title that's just as interesting and just as fun to play.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like the directors and developers were like involved while you were recording your sessions as well, and in performance sessions. Sounds
Yeah,
like.
Hugo runs all of the voice sessions.
Mm,
Like he's directing. We're all cast,
yeah,
but he runs every last one of them. He's there for all of them. He
yeah,
knows what he wants. He runs us actors through our paces and
yeah,
makes sure he has tremendous number of selections. But also, when you really get a cast like like he got, I mean, again, I'm not doing the heavy lifting in this. You
mm,
know, the other leads are carrying this title, and their performances are phenomenal. And
yeah,
when you get a Deborah Wilson, when you get a Gina Gershon, I just blanked on his name that plays Prince Asric.
yeah. Rick Cosnett.
Rick,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Rick. When you get a Rick,
yeah. He was outstanding as well, wasn't
oh my gosh! I mean,
he?
you don't have to do much as a director
Yeah,
other than say, okay, great, go again, and
yeah.
then we're
Just do your
good.
work. Yeah,
Just do
yeah,
your work.
yeah.
And I was talking with I was talking with Margaret Tang from Boom Music, who is the casting director on this, and she was just sharing some insight behind the scenes on the casting process and what she went through and what they went through
Mm,
in putting this team together of actors. And I will say this. Um, there's almost all it's often that you think you have a cast put together and then you bring in one additional person
yeah,
and that person starts doing the work, and the caliber of work they're bringing
mm,
is so much higher than what you had that you are now forced to sometimes go back and revise your cast to bring it up to the same standard of the person
yeah.
that threw down in a role. And from my understanding, that's what happened in
Well,
this particular um, this particular game.
sounds very intelligent with the work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You know,
yeah,
and I mean, I'm an actor's nerd. I'm a stage guy, and the people that are attached to this project, they're all the same. Like they came either from old school Hollywood,
yeah,
where you actually had to spend time on stage learning your craft, um, and then transitioned over to visual and digital media.
yeah,
And I mean, look, I mean, Deborah Wilson, Gina Gershon, Rick, this entire cast was incredible.
hmm,
I was like happy that I was a part of the club because I know their work and I know where their
yeah.
standard is. I understand, from my understanding, this is Rick's first game.
But you've
From
been
my
part of the Doom franchise many times before, haven't you? Being a Slayer, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been him for a title, a title and a half prior to this.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I came in on Doom Eternal, some of the DLC,
Hmm.
and then they came out with Ancient Gods Part Two. I was not a part
Yeah,
of Part One. Ancient Gods Part Two. I got brought back in. I'm not actually sure what happened with Matt between those titles and
yeah,
the one I started. Um, but I don't know. I'm he's phenomenal in what he did with the character, and I'm just grateful to be a part of this franchise and deliver what I'm able to deliver
yeah,
for this character that so many fans love.
yeah. And like you said, the lineup is crazy as well with the actors that are a part of it. So
Stacked. And I
yeah,
think going into it, they knew this was going to be far more theatrical,
mm,
far more cinematic, and they just wanted more in terms of the performances.
mm,
And like I said, from what I understand, one person came on board and it changed everything.
yeah,
And they went back to casting,
yeah.
back to the drawing board to find talent that could bring it. And look,
Wow.
anytime you bring Debbie Wilson into the mix, you know you're going to get magic
Yeah,
because she's phenomenal. She's a friend,
yeah,
and she, she's just so good at what she does.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, there
yeah,
was a lot of content talking to her. It was pretty incredible conversation, to be fair.
yeah,
There was a lot said. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So again, I think the visuals are stunning. The storyline,
Mm,
still the old one is probably my favorite character
yeah.
in there. That monster is, I don't even want to call it a monster. That thing is like a demon from
Mhm.
on steroids. I just enjoyed how vicious and how big
Crazy.
he was and the grandness of him.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's been it was a fun process and a fun ride, and
Mm.
it's always good to see where we're at now. And from what I
Yeah.
understand, we're
It's
getting ready
quite.
to go back to the drawing board and start doing more.
Mm.
I mean, you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy how
Mm.
this thing unfolds. It's a
Yeah.
really fantastic title, and it is much more cinematic than I recall the others.
Mm.
Um, I didn't see Doom Eternal, but I did watch a portion of Ancient Gods, and
Yeah.
I was really impressed. Um, and I just think what's happening right now in these AAA titles like this is gamers are seeking entertainment
Yeah.
from different mediums than just film and TV, traditional film and TV. And gaming is so broad, but the writing is so fantastic. The scores are fantastic. These titles are all at a, you know, at a feature film cinematic level. And I
Yeah.
think the gamers are just going, yo, give me more. I want more story. I want it more cohesive and connected, like connective tissue through the game. And
Mm.
it's just causing all the production value of everything to go through the roof, right down to the last digital keystroke. Uh, there's just details everywhere, and
Yeah.
you get swept away in it. And it's you're playing a game, but you're interacting with a movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's interesting
Yeah. The
because when
cutscenes are outstanding as well. Yeah. It's.
phenomenal
Yeah.
cutscenes, the performances are, one of these days I have a feeling the Academy Awards are going to catch up with what the BAFTAs are doing and
Mm.
have a category in the Oscars for gaming,
Yeah.
because some of these performances that are in there are Oscar award winning for this particular medium. And I do think that at some point they're going to have to start recognizing the talent that's over here, and the performances that are over here, because they are compelling and
Yeah.
outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, of course. I mean, like with you though. I mean, I know you said you're not a major gamer, but what's it like to hear your own voice in video games? Like, what are you thinking when you're sort of in that setting?
Uh, I'm always well with Doom. They like with Slayer. They modulated my voice down. They really deepened it and put effects on top of it. And I remember doing the takes of my one word, my one line, um, and I could hear my cadence, but I couldn't tell it's my voice. But
Yeah.
there's another character I play, Marak, which is uh, Valen's son. Um, one of the military lieutenants, with the guy with the mohawk.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
play his son in it, and I have a couple lines in there, and I can hear that, and it's, you know, when you hear your voice, because I'm an actor, I'm always like, oh man, if I'd had the visuals first to deliver my
Yeah.
lines too, I would have given that performance a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. It
I'm
would
a
have
constant
guided you a
critic.
bit more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think my volume's up a little bit.
I guess.
I'm a
Yeah.
I'm a constant critic. Um, I can tell you with Deathloop, it was very different because
Yeah.
I was sitting in that character for so long that
Yeah.
he was right there, and I knew how to pee him. And it's fun to hear your voice. It's fun to hear your voice coming through an image that's not you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and seeing how the two reach a synchronicity, and it becomes a character
Mm.
that takes you on a ride.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you got that villain type voice as well. So yeah.
I
Yeah. Like
appreciate that.
as a compliment, obviously.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
I in Deathloop, Colt had some edge to him. He was a protagonist, but he definitely had some edge to him.
Mm.
And the further he went into that loop, and I know we're not here to talk about that, but the further he went into the loops, the honorary he got, with this character, Doomslayer. Uh, he's active, but just completely numb inside.
Yeah.
Um, and it was interesting to try and find that within myself,
Yeah.
with such brevity of dialogue, to try and find texture to it, and a performance in it. uh it's challenging.
Hmm.
It's really challenging, but I enjoy playing. I'm starting to enjoy playing villains. I actually hope that my next big role is like the main villain of a big title. That'll be a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
fun.
yeah. What would you like it to be in? Like, what kind of video game, like specifically?
I love fantasy. This
Yeah.
is this world that I'm in. Grounded fantasy. You
Mm.
know, um, uh, uh, God of War would be great.
Yeah, yeah. I can see
Um,
that actually. Yeah.
yeah, any one of the Elder Scrolls or anything like that, I would eat that kind of a roll up, or anything that's not ever been do. I know Ubisoft doesn't cast here anymore, but Assassin's Creed franchise is something that I always was interested in and
Mm.
would have loved to have been in one of those titles as a antagonist. But really, anything fantasy based is interesting to me. I've played military guys a lot,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're fun, but there's something about playing someone who's so inherently evil, but believes in what they're doing,
yeah,
right? That I'm interested to see what I bring to somebody like that. I've done it on stage in plays. I played that guy on stage,
mm.
and I enjoy doing it. It's very free. It's a very free space to be because you don't have to apologize ever. You don't
Yeah,
have to be nice. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to worry about pleasantries and protocol. You're just driven
yeah,
towards a purpose, and those characters are interesting and interesting to play and hard to come by sometimes.
yeah. How do you prepare, like mentally, for a character, and for a recording session? Because there must be quite a lot to getting stuck into that character as well.
It depends on the character.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It can be any. I mean, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, it depends on the characters. It also depends on the size of the role.
Mm.
And what's interesting with this particular game, again, Doomslayer usually says one or two things per game.
Yeah.
He doesn't say a lot. It could be really easy, and it'd be dangerous to go, oh, I don't have to do anything to prepare, but I just can just go in and do it. You can't throw it away that way because he speaks so little. That means what he says is extremely precious and there's value to it. So I actually found myself having to get into a very specific headspace
Mm.
to say one line. And you just, again, you wouldn't think it takes that, there's a preparation for it.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure there still is, like you say, like you
you
said.
have to jettison everything that's going on in your day to day.
Mm.
I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm auditioning constantly, I'm wearing 15 different hats at any given time. I walk into my booth right here and, I got a 7 or 8 scripts of completely different characters I'm playing on any given day. And then, oh yeah, I got to make it to the studio to go record this character by 2 o'clock. And then have to drive all the way across Los Angeles and fight through traffic and all the stuff that goes into the day to day activity
Yeah.
of just being a human being and an artist. And
Hmm.
you get there and you gotta, with a character like Slayer, you gotta drop all that
Yeah.
because he don't have any of that running around inside him, and you have to
Okay.
neutralize it in a way. And I did have an exercise that I found that was probably the most effective thing to just get all of that off of me, get it out of me, and run myself through my own emotional spectrum
Okay.
to find that neutral, and then get in the booth and go for it. And ironically, like I said, um, we probably did my line of dialogue somewhere between, we usually do them in triples. I probably
Okay.
did 10 to 15 sets of triples
Wow.
just to get it what he wanted. And
Yeah.
they were giving me notes, and I'm going, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. It's a lot
And
more than just a couple of words.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was the same way when I did Ancient Gods and I said rip and tear. I
Yeah.
said that line a lot inside of an hour,
Mm. Wow.
doing less and less and less until we got to a point where I felt like I wasn't doing anything. And then I hear the playback and I'm like, oh, it's all right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, I'm sure the Slayer can have a lot of lines if he wanted, though. I feel like in the future that could be a thing for him.
It's possible. I
Yeah,
mean, I've lobbied. I definitely have. I lobbied last night
yeah.
with
Oh,
Hugo.
okay.
I definitely lobbied for, something that was a little bit more.
Mm.
I think
It's good that you
we
can, sort of talk to him that way and give your ideas, put your ideas across.
I mean, I can jokingly float an idea across the table, but ultimately, I, I'm at the mercy. I'm at the whim and the mercy and the direction of whatever his vision is. Um, I think there's probably been versions of the conversation where they've thought, yeah, we could give him a little bit more to say, but then that's so far away from who his character is.
Mm.
And I think the fans actually prefer that he doesn't talk that much.
Okay,
I think I'm almost convinced that the fans appreciate even more that he says less and he speaks with his hands
that's
so much
interesting.
more. Um, and I can't be mad at that. I can't because he's pure violence.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
purely he's pure focused violence. He is an extremely dangerous man,
yeah.
and dangerous men don't talk much.
Hmm.
They don't have to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. They're introverts.
they're introverts, but
Yeah.
I think whether you could get away with it is if they ever did a cutaway to his origin story
Mm.
before he ended up becoming the Slayer. That would be the area where you'd end up having dialogue.
Yeah.
You find out that he was a human. You find out that he was a guy. He may have a past. I don't really know, but if you have a one of those things where you figure out where in the storyline they go, oh, we're actually going to show you where he came from,
Yeah.
and then you have a flashback and a cinematic, and there's this 2 minute, 3 minute arc of a scene where you realize, and I'm spitballing, but he was married or had a child or had a family or something happened that sent him down this road. That's where all of that dialogue would be.
Yeah. Goes to show how anything's possible within the storyline, and
Anything,
yeah, yeah.
anything.
So you must have done more motion capture though, maybe than voice work.
On this one, no,
Okay,
I
okay. Because
actually
there was
did
a lot of
not.
weapons, and you would have thought you would have to do some sort of physical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They actually had they shot all of the mocap in Texas.
Okay.
Um, and from my understanding, they definitely have a team, and I have a feeling they go back to the same person, the same actor and performer that does his physical work. They probably work with him a lot because that has to be very specific.
Yeah.
And so I had asked if I was going to get to do the mocap on it, and there was a consideration for it.
Yeah.
But then with the amount of work that he physically does, that would mean they would either have to have flown me there to record me there
Yeah.
or come out here and record me here. And with the body of work that they were doing, they needed somebody that just had boots on the ground in Texas
Mm.
to do the work. So unfortunately, I was not able to be a part of the mocap on this particular game. But in the future, there may be a shot. At least some of my other one of my other
Hmm.
characters, there might be a chance. Ironically, though, one of my friends from Second City and one of my good creative friends, Brian Bentley, lives in that area, and he did do some of the mocap on the game as well.
Wow.
So we went through Second City together years ago, and we're actually in the process of trying to produce a film that he wrote and is
Okay.
starring in. And so it was great that he got cast in it as well and got to do
Yeah.
some work on it as well.
Well, it's amazing how you can have so many questions for a character, that's, you know, yeah, you can still do a full Q&A about the Slayer, I reckon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. I mean, he's an interesting. He's a very conflicted individual, and you
Mm.
know he's fully aware of what he is and what he's
Mm.
capable of doing, but he's being controlled in a way that is against his will, and he's basically he's at least we see him start off. He's a slave to a system,
Mm.
and he's a weapon that is just
Yeah.
used as a thing. And I would imagine I would
So
imagine
you
it.
don't. So do you think he's more of a weapon than a hero? Then, would you say?
That's a good question. Um, he's both.
Yeah.
I mean, he's both. He's a weapon for sure, and I think he does heroic things to protect the realm. I gotta be really careful. I gotta be really careful because I don't want to reveal anything.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the game is out, so I'm sure you can
well, the game's
reveal.
out, but if you haven't gotten to the end, then
Yeah. Yeah.
you deserve to get that revelation and that experience. But I will just simply say, uh, if they move forward in this title with if they move forward from this place in the franchise and tell another story attached to this, I would not be surprised if we start to see him play the more active hero where he's making the
Okay.
choice. I
Yeah.
don't think he's making the choice in this to be the hero or be a hero. He's
Yeah. Yeah.
being activated to go fight
Yeah.
and go
He's
kill
being told.
demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being commanded. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Well, what do you think motivates him though to keep fighting? What do you think motivates him?
that's a good question. I honestly I haven't had a chance to be I would act to be able to answer that, I would actually have to go back and watch
Yeah.
Eternal and the Ancient Gods, both episodes. I would have to go back and watch all that and get a better understanding of his older history.
Yeah.
Because there's the pixelated version of Doom, right, from way
Yeah.
back 90s, 80s, 90s, and then you got the cinematic version of him, which these last three titles. So I think in this cinematic version of the character, I would have to actually go back and watch it to get a better idea of
Mm.
what's driving him. Um, Clearly, he doesn't like demons.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I wouldn't. I'd have to go back and watch it, and I'd have to have some time pick Hugo's brain to get a better understanding
Yeah.
of it, because sometimes you just get sometimes we just get cast and plopped into something and we don't really know what's going on. And that very much is what happened when this character got brought to me and fell in my lap. I
Yeah.
just auditioned. I had no idea what I was auditioning for because everything's under a code. And then I get there and find out what it is, and my mind is blown.
Yeah.
And they don't give you a lot of back. I don't get a lot of backstory. They hold a lot of the information close
Yeah.
to their chest, so I can go out and research, obviously, which I've done. But I still don't ever get the details until after something comes out.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And what Margaret said yesterday, casting director said last night, was that the character, even though he doesn't say much, there needs to be a performance underneath what he's doing and an intention, and it needs to be very, very, very specific to
Yeah.
satisfy the moment. Because when he does speak, it's a very big thing. And she said that that was one of the reasons they actually cast me
Wow.
in this. It cast me in the past and brought me forward into this. Is that uh, I'm able to do a lot with very little because there's a life going on here. And it was probably one of the best compliments I've gotten as a performer and an actor. It's nice to know that you're one of those type of people that can get away without saying much
Mhm.
and still get the point across.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is easier to do a monologue or dialogue than it is to say a word or a line and
Okay.
get a performance across, because you just don't have any ramp up.
Mm.
You have no ramp up and you don't have any landing. You got to nail it all like that,
Yeah.
So uh it's nice to know that they're just going deeper and deeper into getting just a different caliber of performances across the board, so
Yeah.
that the gamers get a different experience, a new, fresher experience.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot. There's a lot to discuss. I mean, you also mentioned your movie as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The movie right now I can't because I'm under NDA
Okay.
with this movie that me and Brian are trying to produce, but it's the highlight of it is it's a very light uh family comedy, I don't want to call it family comedy. It's a light comedy about a father and a son, uh, where the father is nearing the end of his life experience, and his
Okay.
middle-aged son is trying to give him one last little hurrah. Uh, and it all takes place in one location, and it's kind of a bank heist gone sideways.
Okay.
And it's really fun. And there's a star attached, verbally, and on paper he's attached. Uh, and we're just in the process of finding producers and raising funds for it right now,
Oh
and
wow.
backing so that we can go out and make a small independent middle budget movie and hopefully get it out there.
Those ones are the best, I reckon. I like watching them movies. Yeah.
Yeah, without diving too deep into what Hollywood's going through right now, I think
Mm.
after 22 movies from the MCU, I think the big tentpole stories are people are a little exhausted, and uh smaller, independent, more intimate stories, personal stories are just. I think that's going to be the renaissance for
Yeah.
film.
Yeah. We need a bit more emotion.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
emotion, more connection, more person to person, more examples of how to be better,
Mm. Mm.
how to be more human.
Yeah.
The swashbuckling and the lasers and the bombs and the snaps are great. I love it. I love it. It's very entertaining, but I just think there's a level of exhaustion,
Mm.
and it was done so well. And this is just me pivoting to the MCU. The MCU was done so well, barring a couple titles that just a couple episodes that just were kind of not that good. They could have they could have taken a break for 5 years to reset and figure out what direction they were going to go, and people would have still hung on, and they would have been ready for the next storyline
Yeah.
instead of stringing out the timelines and the t. Like no one really. I don't think it's as valuable as, okay, we killed this, we knocked it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, reset, and figure out where we're going next. Make them hungry again for it. Give them some time, but they didn't do that, and this is where we're at. And even with and you can get away with doing it because I just started watching Andor. Star Wars is a huge sweeping space saga. Andor is this really tightly woven, small, intimate story within that bigger world on this one character and his journey into what becomes, the launch of the Rebel Alliance in that way. And it's great storytelling.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
intimate, it's smaller, it's more personal, it's one-on-one, and it's something, it's more accessible. And I think we just need more and more. I think we just need more and more content like that, more movies like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I will definitely be there to go see Mission Impossible because Tom Cruise is the greatest movie
Yeah.
actor on the
Yeah.
planet right
Shut
now.
up. Yeah.
No one else does what he does. I will continue to go see stuff like that, big
Yeah.
popcorn titles. One of my closest friends is going to be in the new Jurassic World.
Okay.
He's Haitian, and he plays Mahershala's pilot. But Bashir Sylvain's getting ready to be in this huge title. And,
Yeah.
he and I started our careers around the same time. Um,
Wow.
and he hosted my bachelor party in Miami, my dog.
Well, shut up.
But, you know, I love these big tent poles, but all of us keep talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
back to smaller, more intimate films, more intimate stories, more intimate
Mm.
stories that are more human, that show things from a
Yeah.
different facet. So
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be a good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be a good one. And I do currently have, and I hope it makes it over to Europe. I'm in starring in a short that's making its rounds on the film festival circuit called Homeward Dawn, directed by Alicia Haran, and it's an incredible piece about a military veteran struggling to find his legs once he gets back to the
Yeah.
states and deal with some PTSD. And there's two guys in a prison cell trying to help, trying to work things out and it's probably one of the best performances I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I hope it gets seen by a broader audience in some shape, form, or fashion.
Well, Jason, I do like your performances, and it's good to keep watching you. I like seeing you as the villain, and Deathloop was good as well. So
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, it's a good one. It'll be
I
good.
appreciate it.
Amazing, Jason. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
so
on.
much,
Appreciate
Lloyd.
it.
I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.